Guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today assignments, we are going to look at evaluation H0, where you as the software engineer, you are supposed to do a certain quiz. And if you look at the instruction, once you start the quiz, you may not click out, search on Google or open a terminal. Failure to stay within the exam will reflect on your final exam. If you complete the quiz sooner than the anticipated time, that is acceptable. The quiz is, however, cannot be paused once you have started. You are not allowed to ask fearful answer during the exam. You can, however, use papers to do. Okay, so let's go direct to the question. And also remember, if you take the exam on site during the specified time, you will receive 100% point. However, if you take the exam offsite during the specified time or any time other than the specified time, you will receive supposed to be on shell. Which command should I use to display the exit code of the previous code? So we have the code, the echo $ exit code. We have the echo $ question mark, echo $code, then the echo exclamation mark, and lastly you don't know. So the correct answer for this one is supposed to be echo $exclamation mark. This one is the correct answer. This is the command that we always use whenever we want to exceed a code of the previous command. Okay, let's submit. Okay, let's move to number 2. Which of these loop system statements exists in C? Select all the valid answers. Number 1, we have for each, for, while, loop 2, do while, each, and the last part we have I don't know answer. So the correct answer for that, okay, for number 1, let's look at some of the things that we have already learned from the previous class. We had already learned about the for, and for the for loop, if you can still remember, or you can as well as go back to my channel. For the loop, for the for loop, when you know the exact how many times you want to loop through a block of code, you use the for loop instead of the while loop. Okay, so this is one of them. Then the other one that we had already done in the previous class is the while. For the while loop goes through a block of code as long as a specified condition is true. And lastly, we have the do while. The do while, this one. For the do while, this loop will execute the code block once before checking if the condition is true. Then it will repeat the loop as the condition is true. Then the other one, which is not here, we have the nested loop, which means it is possible to place a loop inside another loop, and this ought to refer to as the nested loop. Then for the inner loop, it will be executed one time for each iteration of the outer loop. But the most important part of this one, since the question is which of the following loop exists in C. So we have the for loop, we have the while loop, and the do while. The rest are not part of the loops that we have. Okay, next part. The next question is, which symbol should I use to redirect the error output to the standard output? And this one is a simple one, and the correct answer is we have two, this one, then we have this one, and lastly this one. So the correct answer is supposed to be 2. The one starting with 2, then ending with 1. Then you submit. Then the next part, which command should you use to list files on Linux? Very simple. Okay, so before maybe we go through, we have the which does not take, will not look at so much on that one. Also for the list doesn't exist. Then for the CD it exists. Then we have the LS. LS stand for list files and directories. When the CD stand for, you change the directory. We use the CD command to change the direction. When the list, we use the list to list the files and directories. Then the other one, we have the PWD, which stand for you print a working directory. And the question is, you use the file. So we have said that this one is for changing direction, change the directory. This one is for listing the files and directory, and the lastly PW, you print the working directory. So use the command to use to list file. So the correct answer is ls. Okay, let's move to the next part. We have what is the output of the following piece of code? What is the output of the following piece of code? We have integer I, where I is equal to 10, I is less than 20. Then you print function I divided by 2. So what you are supposed to do, take number one, we have you take this one, 10 divided by 2. 10 divided by 2, you get 5 remainder 0. 5 remainder 0. So not that. Then move to the, remember it's supposed to be I, which is 10. We have supposed to be 10. 10 is less than 20. So all the numbers that are in between. And remember the rule, 20 is not one of the numbers. So the next number we have 11. So you can write down the 11 where we have 11 divided by 2, this one, which will give you 5 remainder 1. So the next number we have is remainder 1. The first one is remainder 0. Then move to the next number, which is 12. 12 divided by 2 is 6 remainder 0. So the next number is 0. Then the next number is 13. 13 divided by 2 is supposed to be 6 remainder 1. Then you go to 14 divided by 2, you get 7 remainder 0. Then the next number, 15 divided by 2, 7, you get 7 remainder 1. 16 divided by 2, you get 8 remainder 0. 17 divided by 2, you get 8 remainder 1. 18, we have 9 remainder 0. Then lastly, 19 divided by 2, you get 9 remainder 1. Remember, we are supposed to be, the range is between the 10 and the number which is less than 20, which is 19. So the answer is supposed to have, the first one is 0, then we have 1, then we have 0, we have 0, supposed to start with 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, then should up with then. So the correct answer is this one. If you write what I'm saying, you will get now the correct answer very easily. Okay, let's move to the next one. Okay, for this one, what is the problem with the following C code? We have I is not increment outside the loop, so an infinite loop occur. You cannot use integers to input correct. Then I is not increment in the while loop, so an infinite loop occurs. Then we have, I don't know. Okay, let's see what could be the problem. Okay, so we have include. Include. And so we have is not an increment. Let me see. So the answer is supposed to be I is not an increment. So it's between this one, this is I is not an increment outside. Okay. So the correct answer, I've seen where the answer is, because if you look at the code, it's supposed to be I is not an increment in the while loop. So an infinite loop occurs. An infinite loop occurs. So the answer is this one. Then you submit. Okay, the next number. What does this code print? What does this code print? Okay, let me see. So we have print something, function to print something, then return always, then integer, print something, integer, okay, I is equal to increment, I plus increment, j increment, and we have the 0. Then number 1, the end time table starting with 0, the end time table for the r minus xr minus minus r minus minus. So for the binary value for r minus x stands for 5. This one, the first part, this one, r minus x stands for 5. While the remaining part, if you look at the remaining part, they are similar. In fact, they are similar. We have r minus minus, r minus minus. So, okay, so for this one, r minus minus, this one, the binary value, the remaining part, the binary value for this one is 4, and the other binary value for this one is also 4. So the correct answer is 5, 4, 4. This code does not work as intended. Okay, let me see. Let's add print function statement to the code. Okay, let me see. What information do the print statement tell us about our code is executing? Okay, let me see what could be the problem. So the answer is supposed to be, okay, print function statement shows when the loop is finished. Print function shows there is an infinite loop. And the other part, we have print shows exactly how many times the loop executes. Then print statement shows that break will cause for loop. So based on the information that we have been given, we have determine print. So the answer is supposed to be, I'm trying to, okay, let me see. We have print. Okay, so one of the answers is print function that shows that break will cause for loop exitant. Then the other one, we have the print statement shows when the loop is finished. So what is the information going to the print statement tell us about the code? Let me see. Select all the valid answers. Let me see. Yeah, that's the correct answer. Number 1, the print statement shows when the loop is finished, and the other one is because the other part to be executed. Okay, then the next part, what are the different steps to form an executable file from C? This is the thing that we started on when starting on C. So number one, we have as obvious pre-processing, compilation, assembly, and the linking. So those are the things that we have been working on for the last around 2 weeks. What shape will this code print? Okay, we have okay, so we have the integer print shape return. Okay, let me see, not this. So we have this part. So we have the print function, then we have the hash there. So it's supposed to be the shape is supposed to let me see, try to work on it and see the shape. So it's supposed to be, let me see, okay, print. Okay, so it's supposed to be a rectangle, with the, remember we have been given two numbers, 4 and 3. So an obvious supposed to be, number one is supposed to have this hash, then 4 and also the 3. So it's supposed to be a rectangle with